excited to have you join us today for this interview with Roz Quarto from ESOP, Empowering and Strengthening Ohio's People in Cleveland, Ohio. Very briefly, because we've eaten up a good amount of time with our technical issues today, which we sincerely apologize for. National Neighbor Silver has been a staple of NCRC for about the past 5 years or so, and we've been very privileged to work with a lot of really amazing, fabulous, hardworking, impactful, local, community-based organizations across the country. We currently have 26 National Neighbor Silver partners across the country. Some of them are represented, pictured here. Let's see if I can remember all of them. Well, of course, there's ESOP. I believe that's Betty Belford on the right, I think, here on the left-hand picture.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, great. Let me see if I can put my arrow over here. So that's her right there. That's Betty Belford, who one of the older adults impacted by the work that ESOP has done. Linda Branson, right here, is also an older adult impacted by the work of one of our partners, the Northwest Side Housing Center in Chicago, Illinois, one of our NNS partners in the Chicago area. Anita Gardner, over here, worked with our friends at ESOP as well. She was also, a few years ago, an actual older adult ambassador with us and did a lot of work in terms of outreach to the older adult community in Cleveland. She's also featured in our NNS documentary film Fleeced, which is a fabulous film. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. It's been out for a few years now, and it made its rounds on American Public Television in the fall of 2013. But it is a great film. It's called Fleece, Speaking Out Against Senior Financial Abuse. And Ms. Gardner was profiled in that film. And then down here, our partners from California. That's Monica from California Coalition for Rural Housing, Reverend Elaine Bellis, and Julio Rodriguez from Northwest Side Housing Center. And that's me. I don't think you guys see me ever, so there I am. That was from one of our recent conferences. So anyway, we work across the country with a number of community-based organizations that are focused on and working with and for older adults to enhance their economic security. We're happy to always, increase the number of partners we have. So if anyone's interested in becoming an NNS partner, you can feel free to just contact me, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. So today, and this is the really exciting part, we are joined by Roz Quarto, who is the Executive Director for ESOP. And Roz has been with ESOP now for, I want to say 3 years. Is that right, Roz?
That's right.
3? All right. That was a guess, too. So Roz has been with ESOP for 3 years. Back in 2013 is when she started. And the great thing about what she's been doing at ESOP is that she essentially expanded the mission at ESOP to include, or I guess a greater expansion of economic security issues, specifically affecting older adults in the Northeast Ohio area. Roz has tons and tons of experience. She's worked in government and nonprofits and as a corporate executive, lawyer for a long time. For 15 years, she owned a real estate law practice working on low-income housing issues and commercial and residential real estate acquisitions and financing. She's done it all. We are so super excited to have her here with us. Roz's organization, ESOP, has also been a partner with us. I think that they've been there for the full 5 years. Does that seem right, Roz?
Yes.
Yes. There are only 5 organizations that have been with us for the full tenure of National Neighbors Silver
Sharon.
being. Oh, is that Bob?
Yes, good, because I tried to get unmuted.
Bob, you're here. Welcome.
I've been here. I heavily apologize, but I've been trying to get unmuted, and I had to go to the operator.
Oh, really? Well, I'm happy you found your way. What did you do? Well, never mind. We're already started. But anyway, I was just briefly introducing Roz and saying how happy that we've been to work with her for the past 3 years since she's been an ESOP, but that ESOP as an organization has been an NNS partner for the past 5 years. They've been they were one of the first 5 partners that we started with back in 2011, 12.
Mm-hmm. 11.
Bob, did you want to say anything else?
Well, I missed some of it, but I want to actually we want to spend the time with Roz and all the great work that ESOP has been doing. But Roz also has a really extensive background in housing, in both public and private, and as a real estate attorney. So she brings a wealth of different experience to her work at ESOP. And I just want to sort of frame it and then move into the discussion and really devote most of the time let Roz sort of talk about the evolution of ESOP. And Karen mentioned earlier this is Older Americans Month, and what we really want to do is feature one of our most innovative practices, our partners at the local level. And ESOP has a very significant history around working with older adults, but in Roz's tenure, moved into. So what is set up, Roz, and then we can have you talk, and then I'll ask you a few questions. Is sort of, approach it initially from sort of you come to ESOP in 2013. Sort of your background and when you came to ESOP, and then this new strategic direction that you took around older adult economic security and launched the the Senior Financial Empowerment Initiative, the needs and challenges in Cleveland, how your strategy evolved. Maybe highlight 1 or 2 initiatives, but I want to sort of keep this at a higher level of the partners that you've engaged as you move the work forward, the outcomes you're starting to see, lessons, and where do you see ESOP with this work in 3 to 5 years?
Okay, that's all.
Well, I can add to it, but I think that's a lot.
Yep.
So take it away.
All right. Well, why don't we start from the beginning? Basically what happened, Ohio was one of the real hard-hit states with the foreclosure crisis. And before I got here in 2012, we started looking at our foreclosure numbers. And when I started, what we realized was in 2012, 40% of the foreclosure clients that we were seeing across the state were over 55. At a time when a person should barely have a mortgage, we were watching seniors lose their homes. They were the first victims of the predatory lending crisis. They were easy pickings. We have a large percentage of seniors across Ohio still underwater. And as a result of what we were seeing with our own base of clients, we got a small community organizing grant and held listening tables across Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is, to talk with seniors about what are the issues that they're facing. And one of the big issues they were talking about was economic security and how difficult it is to age in place. So we started to look at developing a financial capabilities program for seniors. So that's basically how we ended up backing into the work.
When was that? What's the time frame?
This was 2013. In 2000, we were looking at our 2012. And we were already an NNS member, but we hadn't figured out yet what our programs were going to look like. And so it was really looking at our foreclosure numbers that it became clear that with the graying of society, we were going to have more and more seniors facing homelessness and making difficult decisions between, taking their medication 1 month, buying food, fixing their leaky roof. And we knew that this was an area that nobody was working in. And so we decided to try and step into that space.
Okay, so that sort of gave you sort of a large number of older adults growing. So you talked about sort of the need and demographics. So let's talk about sort of the strategy and how you sort of aligned ESOP, looked for new resources, new initiatives, and sort of how you pivoted and moved forward in, I guess what I'll call senior financial empowerment, work.
Sure. Well, the first thing we did was we did expand our mission and our vision to specifically include not only financial capabilities work across the board, but directly with improving the financial stability of seniors in Cuyahoga County and Northeast Ohio in general. The program, we haven't really talked about the program, so if I could step back for 1 second.
Sure.
Our
Absolutely.
program is, it's a financial capabilities program. It is a robust suite of integrated services. So we do 6 financial workshops ranging from things like identifying and avoiding financial exploitation and abuse to the basics of budgeting, understanding your credit report. So those are 6 sessions. We then do financial counseling and coaching. Our hope is that anybody who comes to our workshop will engage us as one-on-one financial coaching clients. We also became a year-round VITA tax site. So we do about 2,000 tax returns a year. But what we realized was that all these VITA tax sites pop up for 3 months. And then what do you do during the course of the year? So in order to engage the older adult as a client, you have to be present throughout the year and give them multiple opportunities to engage. That's how you build trust. So this year we did 2,000 returns. Almost half of them were for seniors. We also raised a little money, and we're able to create a match savings account. So any older adult who was willing to put part of their refund in a U.S. bank savings account would get a match from us as long as they engage in financial coaching. So we added that.
And when you talk about their refund, is that earned income tax credit, or what?
Well, yes, but I should start by saying we define senior as 55 and older.
Okay.
And so certainly there are many seniors who are still working at 55 and are eligible for the earned income tax credit. I think the average refund our clients got this past year was a little over $3,000. And so we'll do a one-to-one match up to $500. This is a pilot program. This year we got just under 25 people, and they're now actively engaged in financial coaching. And hopefully we'll be building those savings accounts for them for, rainy days, I suppose.
So it sounds, so it sounds like the financial education and the providing free tax service is sort of how you attract, and then over time you then intervene and add, products and services.
Correct. We also became an Ohio Benefit Bank site, which allows us to work with our clients to identify any benefits or entitlements that they have not already received, and they can sign up for those benefits when they come to our office, or when we go out to their community centers to do our workshops. We can do quick checks on our iPads and determine if there are programs they're entitled to some money from, and we will work with them on that side. A lot of the seniors we work with, their average income is under $15,000 a year. So we are really working with some of the poorest, most isolated, most vulnerable people in our state.
And you had said the I want to make sure I heard it right. The average refund was $3,000?
Yeah, a little under $3,000.
That's a lot, because for earned income tax credit, because usually the higher the refund, usually it's tied to, often a single parent with two or more children. So $3,000 is a very
right. Well, we've got a lot of grandparents as the primary caregivers.
Okay.
In Cleveland, but I have to say that under 3,000 number that I gave you probably includes the non-seniors that we also do taxes for. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't want to mislead you. I'm not going to be able to get that number.
I wasn't trying to get too granular, but it just seemed like a very really nice figure, and then your match savings and money that they can then deploy towards savings or pressing financial needs that they have. Okay.
And we do the match up to $500 so that we can spread it around. So we're pretty excited about the program. We think that that as an incentive to get financial coaching will bring people back to us throughout the year. So anytime an older adult gets a tax notice or something local, state, federal, the first thing they're going to do is think, let me call my counselor or my coach at ESOP. And so we've created, much deeper relationships.
Great. So with you said you had a pool of money to provide the 500. How big is the pool that you raised?
Well, right now for the pilot year, we raised $10,000, which is enough room for 25.
20, yeah.
But the other program that we were able to raise over $200,000 for was a loan program. The new foreclosure crisis that people are finally starting to talk about is older adults who are losing their homes to real estate tax foreclosure. And so we were able to leverage an invitation to the Clinton Global Initiative and raise some money from a local savings bank called Third Federal and set up a collaboration with a local credit union and our treasurer's office here to start to give loans to keep these seniors in their homes, pay off their back taxes, engage them in long-term financial coaching so that they can keep up to date moving forward with their taxes. And to date, we've loaned out about $100,000. We have 100% repayment. We have all of the 20, I think we've given loans to 25 older adults who are all actively engaged in financial coaching. And there's another 40 older adults that we were able to get loans for their real estate taxes because they were above our limit from the Hebrew Free Loan Association and from Faith Community United Credit Union. So there's about, I would say, almost 75 seniors that we are working with through a loan program for taxes.
And that's a really important point that you've helped get a senior with your fund, but you've got 2 to 3 times as many loans from other sources.
Right. Well, of course, that's our goal, right? When you're trying to improve your financial condition, it's so that you can be eligible for more mainstream financial products. Now, most of our clients aren't ready to walk into J.P. Morgan Chase off the street and get a mainstream product. But the Hebrew Free Loan Association, a local CDFI, these are people that are willing to take a little bit bigger risk and loan money. So a lot of what we do is about collaboration. It's about putting together our resources with our partners to try and bring more money to the table to increase interest among our clients to engage.
You've done an enormous amount in the past couple of years in terms of this evolving strategy, partners, and launching these initiatives. What have you had to do in terms of at the staff, board, organizational level in terms of capacity and alignment? Talk a little about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's actually an interesting question. From the board perspective, it was easy. We started looking at, we do a matrix for what we need on the board, and so we were able to identify that we need people with a background in older adult issues. And so we have an ombudsman, a senior ombudsman on our board. We put somebody from the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging on our board for a while. So that was pretty easy. From a staff perspective, it was a little bit more difficult. So we looked at our foreclosure.
Wait. Let's talk on the board. Let me just, because you said some really interesting. So over a period of time, sounds like you added a number of new board members, other previous board members. So what is the board sounds somewhat different than 3-4 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think most agencies, as they shift mission and shift staffing and things change their board. So over the 3 years that I've been here, we have had a full turnover of our board, but that mostly has to do with the fact that most of our board members were founding board members and were on the board for almost 20 years. And so the board themselves instituted term limits, and so we had to cycle them off anyway. And so with new board members, we wanted to make sure that people had experience in the older adult community, both by their own age and by what they do in their professions, would bring added value to us.
And I like your matrix because you're looking for people with experience, insight, skill, and mission set. That's good. Can you talk about staff? So the board has changed. You've got new board members who are aligned and have been researched. Also, let me ask you. So how have the board members helped you and the ESOP individually with programs, resources, relationships?
I think you answered the question with your question, right? I mean, every board member that we put on is going to have something, whether they have skills in asking for money, or they have contacts, or they have outreach to the client base we're trying to reach. So, for example, we have somebody from the Care Alliance on our board who provides medical care for low-income folks throughout Northeast Ohio. So they have access and can provide access for us to older adults that are using their services.
That's a good. I was going to ask about examples. That's a good one. You gave. Are there a couple other examples you could share?
Well, Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging. Their HR person sat on our board for a couple of years and has since cycled off. But the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging here in Cleveland is they do a lot of public policy work. They do a lot of direct service. For example, they own the Rose Centers, which are community centers for seniors. And so those are the kinds of places where we need access to be able to provide our workshops and reach seniors. Seniors are by far the hardest part of the population to reach. And so, and transportation in a city like Cleveland is a big deal. We have to, as an agency, be willing to go out into the community to provide our services and not have the expectation that they're going to be able to come to us. Plus, for 4 months a year, there's snow everywhere. So it's not the greatest place to encourage seniors to be out and about.
Oh, that's a really good example. Okay, let's talk about staff. So as you moved in a new direction, what the changes in the alignment?
Sure. Well, at one point, during the height of the foreclosure crisis, we had 11 offices, 10 offices around the state, and I think at one point something like 25 foreclosure prevention counselors. Now, as the foreclosure prevention dollars have dried out, as the need for that many counselors went away, we started looking at who would be optimal choices to switch over to financial counseling. Anybody out there who's done foreclosure prevention counseling or housing counseling knows that it's very much a similar skill set to financial coaching and financial counseling in general, FinCap work. But working with the older adult population demands really different skills than somebody who might work with the general population. And so, we started talking to our staff and identifying which ones were better with the older adults as a client, which one had more inherent qualities that make that a good match. And we cross-trained our staff. So all of our financial counselors now and financial coaches that work with our seniors also are capable of doing foreclosure prevention counseling and housing counseling.
How did you cross-train your staff, and what program or course did you use to do that?
Sure. Well, I mean, we will get trained any way possible. So whatever is most cost-effective and has quality. So my staff has been trained by NeighborWorks. La Raza developed a training program for seniors based on our request. And so we've got training from them. We recently got some training from NCRC for some of our staff. So it really is very similar. Developing a budget, developing an action plan, these are all things that are common across all of those counseling methods.
Yeah, but the way you did it's impressive. I mean, the fact that NeighborWorks, La Raza, you looked at the various programs or training in a curriculum and then chose that's good. So you're using sort of a networked model in terms of training your staff and your partners to have the latest, best skills and cross training to help the older adult work with the older adults.
Absolutely. We also actually work really closely with AARP. We use the curriculum that we use for our workshops. We made a decision really early on to not develop our own curriculum, but to look at evidence-based curriculum that are out there and that will allow us to be trained in it and use it. So, for example, in our first two workshops, we do identifying and avoiding financial exploitation and abuse, and we made the decision to use the Money Smart for Older Adults curriculum put out by the CFPB in conjunction with the FDIC. So we used that curriculum. And then for
what did you like about it? I mean, what did you like most about it, and why did you use it sort of as your lead curriculum?
The Money Smart? Well, I mean, it's easy to use. It's easy to get a hold of, and they had very limited restrictions on what you can do with their curriculum. So it allows us to pick and choose what's appropriate for the room we're in, right? So whether it's preparing for a disaster or identifying typical frauds that exist out there, it allows us to really be able to tailor our workshops for who's in the room. And so that's what we like best about that curriculum. And the fact that one of the things we tell our seniors is use trustworthy sources. Go to trustworthy places. So here is a curriculum put out by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau with help from the FDIC, who put out an entire Money Smart curriculum in other areas. And so we try and practice what we preach with our older adults.
That's good. That's consistent. Okay.
And then for modules 3 through 6, which is more the basics of budgeting, understanding credit and debt, being able to read your credit reports, why a credit report is important, and your credit score, what it means, how you can improve it. We chose to work, there are a lot of choices out there. NCOA has curriculum, AARP. So we chose to use the Finances 50+ curriculum put out by AARP. We do have to adjust it, though. The curriculum that was put out by AARP is intended to hit the 50+ person who's still working. And so a lot of the seniors that we work with are not still working. They are mostly retired. And so we've had to take that curriculum and adjust it accordingly.
How did you do that? Did you do it yourself, or did you look at other curriculum?
Well, I most certainly didn't do it because I am not a direct service provider.
Okay, that's an important point.
My director of my program, who has a lot of experience as a foreclosure counselor, as a housing counselor, she's been trained in everything. She was a caseworker for the state for a while. Really kind of tore apart the curriculum and put it back together to work with people that we're seeing.
Thank you. Other modules that you use or would recommend for our
Well, I can say this: we're more than happy to share. We have the modules. We have them out planned out for every 15 minutes, and I'm more than happy to share it with anybody who wants it. They can just email me after the webinar, and I'm happy to send it. We do a lot of training of other nonprofits. So JP Morgan Chase supports us to go around the country and train other nonprofits on capacity building, on how to build out a program.
And what are sort of like the 2, 3, 4 steps or advice you would have for people on the phone who haven't necessarily participated in that training about how to build their capacity to do financial counseling and coaching?
Well, I think first you have to determine the need, and you have to determine the players, right? So historically, ESOP has been in the housing field. And so now what we've done is we've kind of stepped into the senior serving field. And so I think the first most important thing is to determine the needs of the older adults in the community, listening to what their needs are. Then it's about figuring out who to partner with and what the best way to partner is, because you can't do it yourself. And for our program to be successful, we have to go to places where seniors already are. So whether it's a day program, a rec center, a library, a senior living facility. So I think building those collaborative relationships is really, really important. Proper training, really important. Identifying people who are better off, who are better at work.
Well, let me back you up. When you said proper training for the older adults, or proper training for the people, staff,
for the
staff
people.
Yes,
I think
right.
for proper training for the staff people to really understand the differences between what they've been historically doing here and what the needs of the older adults are that we work with. I'll give you an example. To get on SNAP, on food benefits, a lot of older adults here don't bother. The process is really difficult. You have to reapply every year, and maybe you'll get, $70 a month. And, that's not a lot of money. But when you're living on $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month, when you can do enough of those things, when you can change when payments are due on insurance, when you can help an older adult go through and figure out what do they watch on cable? Do they really need to spend $150 a month on cable? I mean, we literally ask our clients to keep track for 30 days of everything they watch, what channels they watch, so we can figure out how to get them on a lower paying cable package. I mean, so when you
You're
add
helping them budget, yeah.
And $30 and $20, all of a sudden, you know, a person has enough income where they're not having to make difficult choices each month between medication and food, for example.
Oh, that's a really good point. Okay, and so do you do I mean, let's talk about, you know, the Cuyahoga County, Northeast Ohio. Do you do a training of trainers for other organizations so that?
Yes. We just got back from Orlando. We've been to Jersey City, Sacramento, Houston. So whenever we go to a city, we put out, you know, emails throughout the financial capabilities world to let people know out there. We give them our forms. We give them our curriculum. We train them on how to train the programs, how to work with the older adults. We do a 1 hour, the older adult as a client, using AARP's training for how older adults learn very differently from younger adults. And so how you tailor your programming needs to shift.
So this training of trainers, is it a day-long? So when you go to, you said Jersey City and Orlando, and Sacramento, so when you, I mean, obviously you'd be ESOP, you know, when you do the training of trainers, is it day, walk us through sort of some of the highlights of it, what it would look like.
Yeah, that's about 6 hours, and we start in the morning with, we talk about the graying of America, the silver tsunami that we all are living in. And then we talk about how bad the financial exploitation problem is with seniors, and what that looks like, how much money a year is stolen, what the problems are related to that. Then we take them through about an hour training on working with the older adults as a client. That's an AARP training. Our first year, AARP would travel with us, but now we train their stuff. Then we train people on how to deliver the Money Smart for Older Adult curriculum. Then we train people on
how long does that segment of module take?
That's about 2 hours.
Okay.
Then we train the seniors 50+ curriculum. That takes a couple of hours. How to train it, what works, what we've found anyway that works and what doesn't work, which areas of the curriculum are best received, which ones aren't, things like that. And then we do about an hour and a half of best practices, where we get our funding from, the forms that we use, the surveys we use, the dashboard we use to be able to measure our outcomes, the baseline metrics we're trying to reach with each client, things like that.
Oh, that's terrific. Do you get a lot of follow-up from organizations in, you know, again, Jersey City or Orlando?
We've gotten, I think at this point we've done 7 or 8. So we've trained about 200 agencies, and many of them that have historically been housing counselors and were considering becoming financial counselors, or were already doing financial capabilities work but didn't have a program for seniors, have decided to start expanding this. You know, but funding is really an issue. So we try and help. We tell them about where we've gotten funding, where we've been successful, where we've not been successful, and so we try and help a little bit with that also.
Great. Almost sounds like you're moving towards an ESOP training institute, you know, or because of all the demand and you know, in the market for this type of work. So that's terrific. When you've talked a number of times about partners and collaboration. From your perspective, what do you really look for in an organization to be a partner? And I'm not just talking about having a lot of older adults. What skills or sort of, you know, culture, what do you look for, and what do you think some of the real challenges are in partnering with diverse organizations?
Well, I mean, I think number one is to make sure that everybody has the same goal, right? So I don't come into an agency and try and tell them how to do their job. So it's about finding partners where we can integrate nicely with the work that we do. So, for example, the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging, they have been in existence way longer than ESOP, but they never thought about financial capabilities work. And so it's really about being able to step in, do what we do, and then step back and find ways. If they, for example, if Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging is having a conference, being able to go there and reach out to their seniors that might be there to talk about health issues, but to let them know that we exist. And so, we don't want to do one-offs, right? We want to have long-term continuing relationships that increase and grow. So one-offs don't really do that.
That's important. That's important. Challenges around sort of moving towards a partnership of collaborative strategy? It could be internal challenges or external.
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is not going to be a surprise to anybody who's listening is funding. And the reason that I say this is a challenge in this work in particular is that there's always been a lot of money out there going towards causes for seniors. But a lot of them seem to be really tunnel vision, right? They've always given to issues around health and wellness. And so I think our task is to educate funders on the linkages between financial wellness and physical wellness, to kind of redirect some of their giving to include this. So a lot of what you hear in the senior world is we want seniors to age in place, right? That's the goal. We don't want them to lose their homes and be in assisted living or nursing facilities, except so many seniors can't afford to maintain their homes and still get the care they need. And it's always financial stumbling blocks. Obviously, if it's simply health-related and if somebody belongs in a nursing facility, that's one thing. But so many older adults are not permitted to age in place because they can't financially afford it. And so we have to go to the root of the problem. And if the root of the problem is financial insecurity and financial instability, we need to build up a senior's ability to financially take care of themselves. And then all of those other problems are decreased, right? So if somebody is not taking their medication because they can't afford it, then we need to deal with why they can't afford it. So one of the things we've recently done, and this one is crazy, we've become certified vision counselors. Vision.
Oh,
So
maybe I'll hire you.
Believe it or not, Medicare doesn't pay for glasses, right? Most older adults I know, including this one, need glasses. And so what we've done is we've gotten certified with vision screening. And we will do glaucoma screening, vision screening, and then we are able to give seniors a certificate for a pair of free glasses. So that will loosen up money in their budget because they don't have to pay for new glasses. And it's a service that will engage a senior and give them a willingness. Why are they going to come out to our event? Well, they're going to come to our event because we can help them apply for benefits. We can do their taxes. We can get them new glasses. We can tell them if glaucoma is a problem. So any way we can, we find...
That's creative. Actually, you've given... It was funny because as you were talking, I think she's going to go to Aging and Community, and you did about a minute after, before I...
Sure.
But now you've got sort of a new frame for Aging and Community. In a way, you're sort of... I mean, I don't want to... what I sort of heard was you sort of look at aging... I mean, ESOP looks at Aging and Community through a financial fitness or through lens, where people often... Sometimes I look at it through a health or safety lens. This is really, you see really the importance of financial stability as under, and I'm not trying to put words in here, but just sort of
Sure.
undergirding this whole notion of aging and community, and then you add your vision piece, which is very clever.
No, absolutely. And it all starts with I mean, nobody wants to be sick, right? But
Right.
it's certainly easier to get through the maze that's in front of us when finances are not an issue. Now, we are really working with really poor people. I mean, there's poor and then there's poor, right? And we are dealing with people who are incomes are between $10,000 and $20,000 a year. And so we have to be creative. We have to find money wherever we can. And we don't leave any stone unturned. I mean, we literally call our clients homeowners insurance companies and find out if they pay twice a month on the 15th and the 30th, is it cheaper than, once a month? Whatever we can do to loosen up money, we will do for our clients.
That's entrepreneurs. That's being entrepreneurial. That's terrific. Because I want to just ask a couple more questions, and then Karen, I think we can probably have other people. I don't want to monopolize this. This is great. Now, 3 to 5 years from now, where do you see? Because you're strategic and forward thinking. Where do you see ESOP in 3 to 5 years with this work, and what are some of the outcomes that you want to see achieved in? Well, let's just say Cleveland and Northeast Ohio. Well, it sounds like you have a national plan. I just want to focus you on the Cleveland and Northeast Ohio.
Nah, I don't know that I have a national plan. But we can say I'm good in Northeast Ohio. But I think that what we want to, in terms of impact, we certainly want to have more seniors age in place with greater financial stability. I mean, that's easy. That's the vision. That's what we want. But
well, that's an easy vision, but it's challenging to do.
Oh, yeah. But from an agency perspective, I want a program that's so comprehensive, that is so robust, that any hospital that's seeing an older adult, any other nonprofit that's seeing an older adult for any issue will know if there's a senior with financial problems, let's send them to ESOP. We're going to send them to ESOP because they can get their taxes done here. They can, if they want to buy a house, if they want to trade down and buy a smaller house, they can come to get our realty services. They can get our housing counseling services. If they're at risk of losing their house, their foreclosure prevention services. But in my perfect world, we would get funds to do home repairs. One of the big issues in Cleveland, in Northeast Ohio, in Ohio in general, is the aging housing stock. And older adults are living in houses 30, 40, 50 years that are 150 years old, and they're falling in around them. And so we're trying to access money for repairs to be able to do small repairs before they become big, to be able to do big repairs before the houses become condemned. And so I think in a broad picture, in another 5 years, a senior could come here for all their housing and financial needs, whatever they might be, A to Z. We'd love to become a potential lender. I mean, we're already doing a small program for real estate taxes, but we give, those are small loans. They're capped at $6,500. We'd like to be able to loan out more money. We'd like to be able to loan money if a senior wants to buy a house. So I think, becoming a lender would be something else that we'd like to do.
That's a very powerful. Is there anything else? Because this is great. Was there anything, do you want to add anything else? That's really good. Is there any other thing you want to add?
No, I mean, I think we've covered a lot. But I will say, I think really the trick, we are training our seniors to be, in a sense, distrustful, right? Because there's so many people out there, whether it's in their families, their neighbors. It's not just the the internet person from Nigeria who is trying to get access to seniors' information, whether it's their medical information, their financial lives. And so we want to become that trusted agency for seniors. And I think that that's what's important. And the only way to do that is to create long-term relationships throughout the year so that it's not just a 2-month period when a senior can come see you.
No, that's really good. But what I thought you said was you want the seniors to be more distrustful and then then work with ESOP and your partners, who are trusted. So that's interesting. I mean, I get where you're going. That's interesting, because.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, listen, if 75% of the people that are exploiting seniors are family, friends, and neighbors, right?
Right.
So it's the only way to have a senior understand that that's what's happening to them. Often seniors don't even realize that they're victims of financial exploitation. The example I use when I do my trainings for other agencies is when I was about 12 years old, my mother would give me $20 to go buy milk, and then she'd say, "Oh my God, we have the most expensive milk in the community." "What do you mean, Mom?" "Well, I give you $20 and I never get any change." So at 12 years old, that's being entrepreneurial, right? But when a 75-year-old woman asks her daughter or son or grandson to go out and get milk and they don't come home with change, that's financial exploitation. And it's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
and I think that, right?
Okay.
And so I think that there's so much training that needs to be done, and so many seniors don't even realize that one of the side effects of aging is that some of the mental processes that we have now, mental capabilities, start to deteriorate, and they don't know who to trust, and they become overly trusting of the wrong people. And so we kind of insert ourselves and say, wait, take a breath, and let's see what's really happening, and then build trust with us moving forward.
Hi, Bob and Roz. This is Karen. I just wanted to make sure that you all know we have about 7 minutes left on the webinar. There are 3 questions in your Q&A box, and I don't know if you're able to see them. I can certainly see them. 2 of them are from me, so don't worry about those if we don't want to get to them. But the first question is not for me, and I thought we might go ahead and just respond to that one now. Bob, are you able to see these questions?
No, I'm able to see the notes,
okay.
But not the questions.
Okay, no problem. So the question is, if your focus is heavily on seniors, funding for seniors is dwindling, foundations are not plentiful for senior issues, how are you funding your work? And I think you answered a little bit of that throughout your throughout the interview. This question came a little bit earlier, but is there anything that you'd like to add to that, Roz?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all funding across the board in any area seems to be dwindling. I think that this is an area where funders are more easily convinced that they need to be. And so we start with foundations that already fund seniors and try and kind of retrain them into this different area. But then we look to things for us locally. CDBG funds are available for our programming. Some of the communities we work in, some of the smaller communities, have senior tax levies. We work in Warren, Ohio, which is a little bit more rural, about an hour from Cleveland. They have a senior tax levy for years, and they've given that money historically to food banks, senior centers, and transportation agencies. And so we had to kind of insert ourselves and explain why this work is so important, and now we're getting tax levy money. So it's about being creative. When we first went to J.P. Morgan Chase, they were not funding this. When we first went to Third Federal Savings, who gave us the $200,000 for our loan program, they weren't funding this. So it really is about educating and having the backup material. There's tons of new research out there linking physical wellness and financial wellness. So it really is about learning to make the case. I mean, I used to be a lawyer, right? It's about writing a brief that brings you from point A to point B to convince funders to do it. United Way here never funded financial capabilities work before. Now most of the United Ways have started funding this work. So it's really about being, I think, aggressive within the different areas. So financial institutions give us a lot of money, but simultaneously they're our biggest competitors because they also try to do FinCap work with their clients. So it's really about being able to shift with the tide, as it were. But
right.
You're right.
No, that's
right. Money
yeah, let me add to that.
Yeah.
So, Roz, you said you're United Way, but then I thought I heard you say other United Ways, or you didn't. I think
other United Ways have all started funding FinCap work. And when we, yeah.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point, potential opportunity. I previously worked at United, well, number of years I worked in United Way, we're running community building for United Way of America, but United Way had moved into the income and asset building space big time, many of them, and that may be just getting them to think, because usually you think about young adults, children, around asset building you do at least, and sort of infusing, like Roger sort of suggested, some of the older adult issues around deaccumulation, sort of asset preservation, financial. So that's a good idea. Okay.
I think, if I may, I would also suggest going to local politicians, because who votes? Seniors are the biggest segment of society that votes. And so we work a lot with our city and county council people, both to reach seniors, because we don't have to spend money on outreach because they're already sending newsletters to every single household in their wards and their districts. And so there's still, I think, a lot of potential for funding that way also.
No, I'd be afraid if Roz and the seniors came to me if I was a local official. I'd say, what do you want? How quickly?
So we are actually very close to being out of time, just 3 minutes. So super last question, brief answer, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. And also, Roz, I forgot, you did have a chart that you sent me. Did you want me to pull that up for you right now?
Yeah, could you pull it up real quick? It just shows,
yeah, definitely.
It's just a chart that kind of shows what our program is. And I think I like this chart because these are the, 7 programs that we have currently in our Senior Financial Empowerment Initiative. But what the chart shows is how integrated it is and how a person can enter our services at any point in that process and have access to all our other programs. And that's really the point that I wanted to make is, having a well-rounded program that encompasses all of the financial issues a senior might face. And I think that that's really the way to build out a successful program.
And then Roz,
it sounds like a no wrong door,
right?
Like guaranteed service and product.
Exactly.
So, and Roz, related to that chart, last question here. Does ESOP have a either coordinate or work with sort of a local aging in place, aging in community consortium or forum or gathering of a variety of community groups? And what are some of the things that you all are focusing on, and how do you fit within that group, and what's kind of the long-term vision of that group?
So that group that we sit on is called the Council on Older Persons, and that is every major agency, both in the nonprofit sector and government sector, is a member. The group as a whole tends to deal a lot more with Medicare, Medicaid, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. We are the first member that deals with FinCap issues, with financial issues. So for us, it expands our reach and has kind of brought to light that these groups are not dealing with these issues. And so for us, it was really a key moment in our programming when we joined COOP, is what they're called.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So it is.
Roz, are you aware of similar types of networks or other parts of the country, or is this sort of more unique?
I'm sure. Most major cities will have consortiums like this, and I would start by I would check with your local AARP chapter, because every state has a local AARP chapter, and check with the area agencies on aging. Those are the two places where you'd be able to immediately identify all the agencies working on senior issues.
That's a very good point. And also, we're meeting in about a week with the League of Cities. We met them, and they're very interested because they're obviously, cities are getting older, so good. Well, Karen, I know you probably with the last thing, Karen, but Roz, thank you so much. I mean, both in terms of your creativity, your direction, and your vision. And the next time I come to Cleveland, I'm going to be looking at major hospitals for pictures of President Obama, Vice President Biden, HHS Secretary Roz Quarto, and the big four.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you, Roz, so much for being with us. So just some very, very quick announcements. This is Older Americans Month, so we have a number of events and activities that we're doing throughout the month of May. The next webinar that we have coming up is a traditional, presentation, PowerPoint presentation type of webinar, and that'll be on May 25th, 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be joined by some folks from the U.S. Department of the Treasury. They're going to be highlighting their MyRA new retirement savings account. They're going to tell us more about it and also talk about ways that folks can save using that particular product. So join us on May 25th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and if you are registered for this webinar, I will definitely follow up with you and provide you the information to register for that webinar as well. We already did that. So finally, thanks everyone for participating. Apologies again for the technical issues that we had early on. We did record this, and we hope to get it edited and up on our website soon so that everyone can see it and hear the great things that Roz had to say. So again, thank you so much, Roz. Very happy that you were able to join us. It's always a pleasure talking to you and the folks from ESOP. And we'll see everyone, hopefully, on May 25th for our next webinar. Happy Older Americans Month, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Karen.